I just get the organizer to just email me a list of what was left over, and I'll just answer them I'll just write the answers out and email them. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Well, Dave, thanks for coming. You're totally in mobile mode, aren't you?
Yeah, I absolutely am. Doing the Mother's Day shopping for the ex-wife.
Attaboy.
Wow. You're a good man, Dave.
Actually, I'm pretty lucky. I say she's the best ex-wife a guy can have, so.
Oh, that's perfect then. I like that. That's a really positive way to look at it. I like that.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Do you have a list of what you're hoping to find, or you're just going out there and being like, I'm getting what I get?
She wanted slippers.
Yeah.
And so I knew at Costco there was a really great pair of slippers there.
Yeah.
And so I braved Costco, and they didn't have them.
Oh, no. And all that time to wait in line and get in. Oh my gosh.
I was gonna say, how long did you wait in line for that one, Dave?
Actually, I was lucky because as you can tell, I'm unshowered, and I apologize for not being very presentable. But I was up bright and early, and I ran right in to get it when it opened, and there was no line, so it was awesome.
The trick is to go to the one in the northeast off of 17th or southeast off of 17th Ave. I don't think I've ever seen a line at that one. I mean, it's a much longer drive for me because I live in the northwest, but if you're willing to make the drive over on Stony, I've never seen a lineup at that one.
That one or Okotoks. It's almost worth the drive even to Okotoks some days.
Yeah. Okotoks. And normally I would do Balzac, but man, I went there last week and I mean, the sun was out, so I was grateful. And it was only 45-minute wait. So, but
I'm with you with you that Okotoks one, Dave. I've been down there before, just when we happened to be down there, and it was like, hey, let's pop in and see. And it was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And it was empty. I have to believe it would be a very different thing at this time, but definitely it certainly is a little bit easier anyways. So
you can walk around freely and not bump into people, and it's amazing.
Very true.
Nothing against Okotoks or High River, but I'm trying to avoid them like the plague right now. So
yeah, that's true. That's
well,
true.
because of the plague.
Because of the plague. Exactly. Good sense of humor.
All right, so we got a bunch of people on. I'm going to interrupt our wonderful conversation here just to kind of get everything started. We are just after the 10:30 hour. Thank you again for everyone to taking the time out of your morning to come and join us on our Taleo Connect seminar. This is a really interesting topic. It's something that everybody's going to feel very, very strongly about. This is the Mental Health Week, of course, here. So it's kind of very timely that we're doing this also. We're very, very thankful to have Kimberly from the Canadian Mental and Health Association today to join us. It's interesting, Kimberly, we were talking a little bit. We have a team meeting that goes on just before this, and this is something that is really, really relevant, and everybody has something that maybe they're dealing with or maybe not dealing with or not talking about. So I know that you're going to kind of jump in with a bunch of different things that you're going to talk about, just kind of about awareness and explanation and how things work. But also too, it's like I said, this could be a really interesting kind of Q&A session afterwards.
Yeah.
So just really, really quickly, just from our side of things, just to let you know that we are here from the Taleo team. Anytime you want to reach out to any of us, we're more than welcome to just sit and chat. We do a lot of talking on the phone these days, as you can imagine, but we're here for you guys too. So in any way, shape, or form. On the other side of things, that you are eligible for a half a PDU for this to join us this session today. So thank you for that too. And we also do have a YouTube channel where we record all of these sessions and then we drop them in our YouTube channel. So that will be available right after this. And I also send out the YouTube channel in any subsequent meetings that we have. So with that said, I would like to introduce you guys to Kimberly from the Canadian Mental and Health Association. As she was on before, she's very, very busy these days. She's got lots of stuff that's going on like this. But Kimberly, I'll leave the floor over to you. So go ahead.
For sure, yeah. So I'll just get my PowerPoint pulled up here for you. So welcome everyone. I'm glad that you can all be here with us today. So we have a half an hour of time together. I'm gonna go through the information and try to leave at least 10 minutes for Q&A, just because I find that so many people have some really great questions right now. But as we go along, oh, did I mute myself there, Kevin?
No, you're good.
Oh, it popped up and it was like, you are muted. I'm like, wait a sec. A lot of people have so many personal questions that they want to get answered now as well. But as we go along, the session is designed to be interactive in nature. So I'll be looking for your input as well. I just want to lecture you for the next 20 minutes. That's really, boring. And you don't really take a lot out of that if you're just sitting and listening and being beautiful and nodding along. So I'm going to ask some questions. So feel free to participate as much as you can, either by just telling me your answers, or I'm sure you all know what the chat function that's available through Zoom as well. I have chat open, so I'm able to see that. So obviously, Dave, please don't chat. I can tell you're driving. So if you want to unmute yourself as you go along to answer, I would welcome your answer. So just a quick outline of what we're going to cover off today. So we're going to talk about the difference between mental health and mental illness. And while they are connected, they're not interchangeable. And I think a lot of people in society right now are using terms like mental health issue, mental health concern, mental illness, and they're using them interchangeably. And while they are related, they're not the same thing. So just to really clarify what that is, we're going to look at stigma and maybe some ways that we can end it, because stigma is one of the biggest things that still is a barrier for people talking about their own mental health or illness and then accessing those supports. So what can we all be doing every day to help reduce that stigma? And then I want to jump into the preventative strategies. How can we stay as mentally healthy, especially right now with the whole COVID situation going on, with or without a mental illness? So even while living with a mental illness, you can still be extremely mentally healthy. So we're going to do a quick exercise. And Kevin, I'm going to put you on the spot here to be my answer guy for this one, okay?
Sure.
I'm gonna show you a bunch of pictures of people. As we go along, I want you to identify who they are and maybe why you know them. And then my final question is, what do they all have in common?
Okay.
All right. So who is this gentleman?
I can't see. I got on my chat.
Oh, I gotcha. I'll give you a hint. It's David Beckham.
David Beckham. Okay.
And why do we know David Beckham?
He's a soccer player, or he's married to Josh Weiss, actually.
There you go. I'm sure that's why you know him. Yeah. All right. How about this one?
This is just did the movie with Brad Pitt.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leo DiCaprio.
Helping you out here again. We know he's an actor.
Yep. Johnny Depp.
Perfect. Another actor. This one might be tough.
Oh man, my daughter's gonna kill me because I didn't know this one.
It's Demi Lovato.
Demi Lovato. Oh God. Okay.
You're doing good. You're still doing good.
Justin Timberlake.
Good job.
And this is, again, I'm going to get in trouble for this one. No, don't know this one.
Channing Tatum. It's all right.
Okay.
All right. Couple more. I bet you'll get them. This one's a tough picture.
Lady Gaga.
Good job.
And that is, no, don't know this one.
Selena Gomez.
Okay. Married to Dax Shepard.
Yes.
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell. Good job. Another actress. You'll know with this one.
Oprah.
Good job.
The Rock.
Good.
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah. This one might be tough for you.
Adam Levine.
Good job. Yes, Adam Levine. So you know the majority of them. You know what they're famous for. But what else do they all have in common?
They are, I'm going to say, just because of the topic, they're mental health advocates.
Okay, yes, they are all mental health advocates. That's a great guess. They're all actually mental health advocates because they've all been living with a mental illness, and they've all been really open about talking about their journey with mental illness. And they do so because they want you to recognize that it's not something that has to limit you, or you're not going to be able to be successful or accomplish whatever it is that you want with your life. While living with a mental illness may make those things more difficult, with appropriate treatment, that you can recover. So I'm not saying that you could be cured from all mental illnesses, but you can recover with appropriate treatment. Many people will live symptom-free, okay, or at least have a great reduction in their symptoms of different mental illnesses. So I just want everyone to be aware that just because you have a mental illness doesn't mean you can't be phenomenal and famous and hugely successful at whatever it is that you choose to do with your life. So good job. Thanks for helping out with that one, Kevin.
No problem.
All right, I'm going to pick on someone else now. So if you're shy and you don't want to answer, just be like, no. Dawn, I see you. Can you give me an answer of what do you think mental health is?
Mental health? Oh my gosh. The ability to have clarity in your thoughts.
Yeah.
And to feel stable in the face of chaos, I guess.
That is a terrific answer. Thank you, Dawn. That was excellent. So yeah, so mental health just involves that positive functioning in daily activities. You can have positive or productive efforts at work or school and your caregiving. You have that ability to bounce back and cope with adversity. So kind of like what you were getting at, you have the ability to deal with stuff when it comes up. It's not just merely the absence of a mental illness. And so what I mean by that is you might not have a mental illness, but you also might not have excellent mental health or great mental health. Even little things such as a bad night's sleep can impact your mental health the next day. You get in a fight with a colleague, it can impact your mental health. You're stuck in the same house with people you'd prefer not to be stuck in the house with, can impact your mental health. But by itself is not a mental illness. Okay, so great job. All right, let me see. Who would like to answer this one? Who wants to give it a shot on what is mental illness?
Who's jumping in?
Dawn, you want to go again?
Sure. Mental illness is something that affects your ability to function consistently and I don't want to say be happy, but be able to function consistently.
Yeah. No, that's perfect for sure. And with if it is some of the mood disorders, it might be how much happiness you feel or not feel depending. So yeah, great answer. So mental illness is just simply the individual has a significant change in the way they think, act, or feel, and over an extended period of time. The second part of that definition is it's going to cause distress or problems in their functioning in all of those sort of areas of their lives. So we've all felt sad or blah or yucky from time to time. That doesn't mean we all have depression, okay? So it has to be that significant change that's impacting our functioning. And there's that set period of time because it's not just like you've lounged around the house for a couple of days, binging Netflix, eating Doritos. Could be some signs or symptoms of depression, or it could be you're just bored and there's nothing else to do, okay? So you need to meet both of those parts of the definition to get the diagnosis. Different mental illnesses will have different periods of time. If we look at, say, depression, which is a type of mood disorder, that period of time is going to be 2 weeks. However, the majority of people that have depression have had the symptoms much longer than 2 weeks before they've sought help for that. Whereas if we look at seasonal affective disorder, which is another type of mood disorder, that's 2 years. So 2 seasons that you would have, the signs and the symptoms for, and the impact in your day-to-day functioning before typically you would get the diagnosis. So it can really vary depending on what the illness is. So just a little bit sort of what the pyramid of mental health concerns, I just want to go over this. Mental distress is just things that will impact your mental health. So if you want to just think of it as mental stress, so it could be the weather. It could be, like I said before, a bad night's sleep. You're not eating healthy. You're not dealing with your stress management. Any of those sorts of things can cause mental distress. And then we move up one level to mental health issues. These are more serious things that maybe left unchecked could become a mental illness, but they don't have to be, okay? So if we look at the COVID pandemic right now, we know that it is greatly impacting a large number of people's mental health. Will it cause mental illness for everyone? No, of course not. But can it? Yes. And so other things like death or trauma, loss of a loved one, abuse, all of those sorts of different things, while they could cause a mental illness, it doesn't mean that they have to. And then when we look at the tip of the pyramid there, smaller number of individuals will experience a mental illness. So we do know it's about 1 in 5 people will experience a mental illness. If we include substance-related disorders, or also known as addictions, it actually jumps up to about 1 in 3. So it's probably a lot more common than you think, than you're aware of. Because when you think of 1 in 3 people, that's you, your partner, maybe one of your children, right? So I think it impacts so many more people that we're aware of. So just a little bit about stigma. I'm going to give Matthew. Matthew, you're sitting outside, you're enjoying the sun. Can I pick on you for this one? Can you give me a definition of stigma?
Oh, wait. There we go.
Thanks, friend.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Again, yeah.
Stigma. So being consumed about how other people may perceive or view you.
Perfect. Great answer. Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, it's just that sign of social unacceptability. There's negative judgments or stereotypes surrounding it. It's the way we label or discredit someone because of a characteristic they have. And this is huge within mental health and mental illness. A lot of people still feel that judgment towards them. They get put down. But it also comes from within as well, sort of holding on to those old, biases or stereotypes. Why aren't I strong enough? Why am I dealing with this? If we think about, like 30 years ago, who in society would have had tattoos, a lot of you would answer like bikers, sailors, criminals. But now if you think about who has tattoos, it's pretty much a big portion of society. You don't see someone walking down the street with a sleeve of tattoos anymore, and you're like, I better cross the road. I don't want to be seen, outside of COVID. You know what I'm saying? We're not fearful of someone just because they have tattoos anymore like we used to be 30, 40 years ago. And while the stigma surrounding mental illness is starting to slowly decline, it's still not where we need to be. There's still a lot of that judgment around it. So just a little infographic you can read through quickly. Hey Dave, how about I read it for you unless you're parked at a red light? So we do know, I've already given you the 1 in 5, the 1 in 3 stat. But 60% of people with mental health problems won't often seek help because of their fear of being labeled or looked down upon or treated differently. 70% of Canadian employees concerned about their psychological safety and health at the workplace. And 14 said they wouldn't feel safe talking about it at all in the workplace. And a lot of that is due back to the stigma that surrounds it. So just a little bit about how we can get rid of stigma. Anyone have any good ideas on this one? How can we help reduce stigma?
Talk about it. Communication.
Talk about it. Perfect. Yeah, communication. Yeah, bring it out from the dark and actually have conversations surrounding it. So I just have a couple other ideas. So obviously, recognizing our language, our vocabulary matters. I think a lot of times in society we're still using terms like, "Oh, that's crazy," and we're not meaning it in the traditional definition of what crazy means. We're meaning it's unbelievable, or it was like really, it was really wild. Somebody will be like, "Oh, I went to a crazy party," and you don't mean it was violent or deranged in nature, which is what the word crazy means. But I think a lot of times we're using these words that traditionally have been meant for mental health or mental illness in other ways. But if you're living with a mental illness and somebody's saying, "Oh, like don't be crazy, don't be psycho," it can be very impactful on how you're doing. So obviously educating yourself, knowing the truths about mental illness, be kind, treat someone with a mental illness like you would anyone with illness. It is a physical illness. It's a medical disorder. It's not someone choosing to act inappropriately. It's not someone trying to get something out of it. So it's a medical illness. Treat them how you'd want to be treated. And then obviously educate others that you might have in your lives. I don't mean like be a know-it-all, but educate others in the way that you would want them to learn more about it. So we're going to look at our preventative strategies here, and I'm going to get you all to give me some ideas on this. So in terms of staying as mentally healthy as possible, even with a mental illness, there's 7 different aspects that we can be focusing on. You don't have to put an hour into this every day. It's things you could be weaving into your day-to-day routine already. And some of the things you're probably already doing just based on who you are and being in the workforce. So focus time is just that. How do you focus on something in a goal-oriented way that builds those deeper brain connections? So what are some things you do day to day that you have to focus to complete?
Work, kids.
Yeah, work, kids. They're all shy. Dawn, how about yourself?
I actually started meditation, so I found
Excellent.
that really good. Yeah.
And meditation can fit into so many of these categories. So good job.
Mhm.
Dave, anything you're doing that you have to focus on besides your drive right now, buddy? Dave can't unmute himself. That's all right, bud. We'll go with driving and shopping and taking care of your kids.
How about now? Am I unmuted now?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Well, I do an activity list, and that helps me focus on what I have to do each and every day. And then whenever I'm doing that, I commit to being present in that. Besides today when I'm driving, but I did park so that I could focus on this.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, so we all have to focus on things right now. Puzzles are like all the rage right now. So you want to focus on a puzzle, especially if it's like difficult, not like a 5-year-old puzzle, but and so just anything you're focusing on, reading, you have to focus, playing an instrument, you're needing to focus. So just building those deep brain connections. So then our next category is playtime. And play is just anything that allows you to be creative, just enjoy different experiences. So a lot of you are probably, gaming is a great one for this, but even just getting down on the floor playing with your kids or, kicking a soccer ball, whatever it looks like. But does anyone else have any good ideas of what you like to do for play?
Cooking.
Cooking, yeah, excellent.
That is a good one.
I feel like I'm ignoring the next page of individuals here. Karen, do you have anything you like to do for playtime? Karen's like, nope, I'm not answering. That's all right.
I was going to put her on the spot and unmute her, but yeah, maybe not.
I know, that's okay. I appreciate it if she doesn't want to. Play could be absolutely anything. Coloring is a great one for play. And, the adult coloring took off years ago and everyone was like, oh, this is great. I love it so much, but they never knew why they loved it. The stress centers of your brain and the creative centers of your brain can actually be active at the same time. And so by purposely making yourself do something creative that you don't have to think about, none of us need to think about how to color at this age. We just know how to do it. But getting into that coloring automatically reduces those stress centers of your brain. So it's such a great resource as well. So then connecting time. So connecting is just, and I know it says ideally in person, and that's not really realistic right now. But how do you connect with other people, especially now during COVID? How are you staying connected?
Just like this, Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom meetings are great.
Yeah.
A lot of other answers I've had is like actual old school phone calls. Like you actually pick up the phone and talk on it. You don't just use it as like a mini computer to type on. I would just say one thing with that is, I want you to stay super connected. And you may have noticed the shift in vocabulary from social distancing to physical distancing, social connecting, which is so important. We need to stay connected, but also have some boundaries around this. If you're someone who's on Zoom all day, every day, and you're tired of looking at the screen, maybe you save it Zoom meetings for the weekend with your friends or other people, or just being able to say like, hey, I want to connect, but can we just talk instead of, that face-to-face sometimes can be really helpful. So the next one is physical time. And I think all of you are probably really great at this. The reason physical activity is so important for your mental health is because the neurotransmitters that are released during that physical activity will help calm you. They increase your serotonin, they increase your dopamine, but then they're also physically relaxant for your body as well. So more than ever, physical activity is so important. A lot of people are more sedentary, you're working from home, you're sitting, maybe your body's starting to get sore. What are some healthy things you're doing to get out and move right now?
I think a lot of it circles around what Dave was talking about, which is create a schedule, whether it be, we do little family yoga in the morning, kind of all get up and just stretch and get your body moving and everything. Cause like everybody's, like you're saying, you're spending a lot of time sort of sitting at a desk right now.
Yeah, just get up and move, go for a run, go for a walk, ride your bike, whatever it is that you can do. I was out for a run the other day and I saw people playing tennis in their cul-de-sac. No tennis net, but like what a great idea, right? Just a family out playing tennis in the middle of the road. I was like, shouldn't that be street hockey? But whatever, that's just the Canadian in me.
Kim, as a results-oriented firstborn, is there an optimal time that you would have to do that? Like, is it 30 minutes or does it matter? Is it just sort of?
The physical activity, you want to shoot for at least 20 minutes consistently to get those neurotransmitters released. But if you can do, at the end of the day, if all you have is 5 minutes a couple of times a day, it's still better than nothing. But you want that 20 minutes at least, if that's something that you can reach for. If you're a mom at home with 3 kids and there's no way you're getting 20 minutes to run up and down the stairs by yourself, then maybe there's some other things you can look at. But yeah, good question. Thanks, Dawn. So then time in, and Dawn, your meditation is going to be perfect for this one. So just have some quiet reflection time, focus on the sensations, there's the feelings, your thoughts going through your mind, and really actually focus on them. And a really good opportunity when you're doing this is when you're eating. If you're cooking new things, you're making new dishes, just really be able to just really get in and enjoy whatever that looks like. But just some time to shut down and get all those other distractions out and have some mindfulness. So then our next one is downtime. And this is just do pretty much anything. Let your mind wander. Music's great for this, watching a movie, daydreaming, whatever that looks like for you. Just have some time in your day that isn't overscheduled, so you can just sort of do whatever you want to do with it. And then the last one is sleep, and sleep is so vitally important. There's certain tasks that our brains do only during sleep in terms of rebuilding certain components in our brain, pruning neural pathways. Memory is hugely affected by sleep, so making sure you're getting an appropriate amount of sleep for you. And a lot of times people say, well, how much sleep do I need? And I can't answer that. We're all going to be different. Yeah, there's specific guidelines out there, but if you're someone who gets 5 hours of sleep a night and I tell you you need to get 8 hours of sleep, that's going to cause you a lot of stress and anxiety, so, or if you're someone who gets 12 hours a night and what I'm going to do, tell you you're oversleeping, like if that's what you need, that's what you need. So what works best for you? Okay. So I just have a list of places where you can get some help, and I'm going to leave these up as we go. But I want to move into our Q&A time, just cognizant that we have like 5 or 6 minutes left. So does anyone have any questions that I can answer for you in terms of mental health, mental wellness?
I can kind of get the ball rolling here a little bit. And one thing, and this is great to have this up where people can kind of reach out, because I think that's kind of what, my first question would be around. You talk to a lot of people nowadays and everybody says, oh, I'm fine, I'm doing great, we're good. You get a lot of that talk, but a lot of people were not sure, are they really doing okay behind the scenes? What's going on? So if you have something that you're concerned about, where would be, out of all this list here that you have, Kimberly, where would be the best place to reach out? Like who's the first person that you would say, who do I call?
Yeah, and I guess that depends on the severity of how much you're worried about the person. Like if you just feel they're struggling with some things sort of going on within their world. I personally, so the CMHA peer support line is phenomenal. While they're trained peer support workers, they're not counselors, but they're just ones that can listen. They have a lot of training in mental health and wellness. They can point you in the right direction. But I would always check with the person to see if they have an employee and family assistance program, because that's often one of the best places to reach out to first. The wait time for them is typically very minimal. EAP programs are confidential. The employer doesn't know that one of their staff reached out to access support from them. And so I think that they're a really great portal to reach as well. If it's 3 in the morning, you're really distressed, the Distress Center, they're 24/7. Between HealthLink and Access Mental Health, we know HealthLink is super busy right now, obviously taking COVID calls. But if you call HealthLink or Access Mental Health directly, and you're looking to get into mental health support, so say if you're looking for a psychologist or a diagnosis of some sort, that would be the best sort of way to get in for that. Calgary Counseling Center is a group here in Calgary. They work on a sliding scale. They're all either clinical social workers or psychologists or therapists, and they can do phone sessions. They're doing online sessions. They'll do video chat, whatever it looks like for you as well. But I would say just who does the person feel comfortable reaching out to? I added Kids Help Phone and Connect Teen in there as well. I didn't know if you'd have, lots of people might have kids or teens at home that are looking for some support as well.
Well, and that's a nice little segue actually for my next question is kids, because there's a lot of people out there that have kids, and there's a lot of parents out there these days that are feeling very anxious, and anxious can look like anything. It can be just because of what is happening. It could be economic, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you deal with, and I know you work with a lot of children as well. So how do you talk to your kids? What's the best way to kind of bring things up and explain what's going on? Because I know that, kids pick up on a lot of things. So if I'm anxious, I know my daughter's going to be anxious too. So, how do you start with things like that?
And I would think, obviously, depending on the age of your kids, you're going to talk to them in the level in which is appropriate. You're not going to talk to a 5-year-old the same way you will a 16-year-old. But, maybe even if your little 5-year-old is like, why are we always at home? Why can't I go play with my little friends? And, a 5-year-old knows what it feels like to get sick, right? So you can just say, well, there's a bug out there, and we don't want to petrify our children. There's a bug that we might get sick from. And so we're just trying to stay as healthy as we can. So sometimes we can't be going out. And just even saying to your kids, you know what, it's a stressful time right now. There's lots of feelings around this, and I want you to be able to come to me to say how I feel. And I think if we can shift our focus or our vocabulary from anxiety to stress, it can help lessen it as well. There's a huge difference between feeling anxious and nervous and having an anxiety disorder. But I think often when people are saying, oh, I have anxiety, I feel anxious, we're jumping to the much more severe outcome of that versus I'm very distressed. This is really bothersome. I'm very worried. And so if we shift our focus on what that looks like, and if we start to look at our stresses, is this a challenge? How can I overcome this? What can I do to challenge it? Is a really good way. So I think just being open and honest as you can with your children about what the state is and listening to how they feel. And sometimes kids will be like, oh yeah, that's nice, thanks dad. And they'll go off and play and they'll process and they'll come back a few minutes later and be like, wait a second. And so just know that you might need to have the conversation a few times and they're probably not just going to want to sit and have a 30-minute chat with you. So yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to read this question in the chat here.
Yeah, Dave popped a question up.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Oh, sorry, Dave. Yeah, so nutrition is so vitally important. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that should go into the physical wellness. And so making sure that we're eating healthy because we know that gut health and brain health are like pretty much interconnected. Our body, our gut, and our brain share about 75% of the actual same neurons that make up our brain cells, make up our gut cells. And so making sure that we're having that healthy nutrition is so important. Being kind with yourself as well. Sometimes we're really hard on ourselves, like I have to be 100% all the time. And then you're setting yourself up for that failure. But yeah, eating healthy, making sure you're eating and not overeating right now is so important. So yeah, thanks for asking that one, Dave, because the nutrition is so important. Getting fermented foods into your diet, if possible, so good for your gut. Blueberries are phenomenal. Lots of different things. So yeah, thank you for that, Dave.
Wonderful. So just to be mindful of time, I know we're just coming up to the top of the hour, so it is 11 o'clock. So those who have to drop off and jump to other meeting sessions, whatever you may be, absolutely, please feel free, and thanks for joining us. Any kind of, parting thoughts for us, Kimberly, on how to kind of continue the journey, I guess you could say?
Yeah, I was just say just be cognizant of your mental wellness, and if you're struggling, that's okay. Not every day is a good day. You know, it's okay to not be okay, and I'm sure you've heard that tagline out there. But just being honest with how you're feeling with yourself and with others, and not every day is going to be good. So do what you need to take care of yourself and others in your families and your friends.
Thank you, Kimberly. Can't thank you enough. This is like we talked about. This is very, very timely and so important. And so I think everybody should continue to have those conversations, talk about it, talk to your friends, talk to people you feel comfortable with, reach out to the great people at CMHA. They have a great spot, even when we can kind of get back out and visit right downtown. So again, thank you so much. It's wonderful to have you, Kimberly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Kimberly.
It was great. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for your time, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and I hope everybody stays safe.
Thanks, Kevin. Bye.